The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. This is Vanessa Royce with eThink Education. I appreciate you joining us today for What's New in Totara Learn 12. Some quick housekeeping. All attendees are on mute, so you don't have to worry about any background noise you might have in your office. Also, we really encourage the audience to be as interactive as possible. So with that being said, please locate the questions pane in the GoToWebinar control panel and say a quick hello for us. We're right here at the top of the hour, so as others are joining us, we'd encourage you to let us know where you're dialing in from and also what you're interested in learning today. So I'll pause here for a minute as we start to get some of your responses, and we'll get started shortly. Hi, Julie. Hi, Kristen. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully the weather's nice in Texas today. Oh, sunny and cool. That beats the snowstorm that came through Pennsylvania today. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for saying a quick hello. I'm happy to see some familiar names. So I'm excited today to go through Totara with you and introduce you to some of our favorite features. So I think without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started here right at the top of the hour. Again, we're presenting what's new in Totara Learn 12. I want to quickly show you the agenda just as a quick recap. This is a very exciting time for eThink because just 2 weeks ago, we were announced as the Totara Global Partner of the Year. And today we're lucky enough to have Daniel Vecchi from Totara HQ joining us to talk a little bit about that award and about Totara from the perspective of headquarters. And obviously we're thrilled to have you, Daniel. After Daniel does a little intro, we'll go into Totara 12 improvements that were detailed in your registration page. And finally, we'll circle back to any questions that we were unable to answer during the session. Here's the eThink staff that's joining you today. I'm on the far left, title Client Care Analyst, and I also work with our clients for professional development offerings, which is another aspect of my job that I absolutely love. And I'm joined by Jeff and Shannon, and I'll give you a chance here to introduce yourselves. Jeff, if you want to start.
Hi, I'm Jeff Brewster. I've been with eThink for a little bit over 4 months. It seems like a little bit longer than that because I've been busy here and having a lot of fun with eThink. I've been working with Totara for a little bit over a year, and I'm excited about some of the new things in Totara 12 and looking forward to sharing them with you.
Thanks, Jeff. Shannon?
Hi, I'm here. Hi, I'm Shannon Wilson. I'm one of the customer solutions architect here at eThink. I've been with eThink probably since May of last year. I'm excited working with Totara. Been working with Moodle and Totara for, I guess, about the last year, and Moodle the last 6 years. So I'm glad to be here, glad to show you what we do.
Thanks, Shannon. And our guest of honor, Daniel. So at this point, I'm happy to pass it over to you. I think you have some materials for us, so I'll go ahead and stop my screen share, and I will pass it over to you so that you're able to present your slide deck.
Okay.
Coming your way.
Just making sure I'm showing the right screen here.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm Daniel Vecchi. I'm the VP of Channel Operations here at Totara, and I've been working with eThink for a bit over a year now, but I've been here at Totara for quite a while, a few years now. And it's been really exciting because Totara itself as a company, what we've been really focused on doing and focused on developing in our platforms is something that speaks directly to organizations and really engaging, especially with groups of people and groups and partners that are really invested and engaged in open innovation. So what we're looking for with our partners is people who can really invest and take the time and understand open technology and open business collaboration. So with that, that is what we've done to help develop and guide our basic tenets and how we move forward as we develop our product, because that's going to be the way to try and develop something that's sustainable and strategic for Totara users. So what we ended up coming up with was four basic tenets: innovation, saving, choice, and learning. These are really focused on how to engage in this marketplace, how to really provide new and open solutions for organizations for what they need. And that's really what we're looking at here. So innovation is something that helps create platforms that you're looking for rather than trying to compromise. And as we move forward, we want to save because we want to really focus where you're investing on your learners, not just on new and pretty toys. And then the freedom of choice is to focus really on something where, again, it's something suit to you, and focus with and change and develop with that a global community with Totara and the Totara partners. And then we end with Totara with the freedom to learn, something that we really work to help achieve what your goals are for your learners, so that from top down and then up to the top, from the bottom to the top, you're really engaging everybody along the way and providing a lot of value add to the learners, which will then feed into the organization developing and growing. And those four pillars have really been embodied by eThink, and that's why we're really proud to have eThink as a partner, and we're really proud to give them the Global Partner of the Year award. They've really been with us on these four pillars, these four philosophical pillars. They've been immense advocates for their clients when we sort of engage in that open collaboration with our product development and where we're going. And they have constantly been putting their clients in the center of what they can accomplish with the Totara solutions. So I'm very proud to have eThink as a partner in our network. Totara is very happy to see how much they've progressed just in this year that we've been working with them, and the collaborative work that we've really done with them. So that is what we've been doing. I'm happy to take any questions about Totara as we go forward. And with that, I think I can pass it back to Vanessa and let you guys really get into the meat of our another proud thing that we are happy about is the release of Totara version 12.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Daniel. That's great. And I have to say that when we were announced as Totara Global Partner of the Year, there was so much excitement going through eThink internally. So we share that enthusiasm, and of course, very proud of that accolade. So I appreciate you highlighting that for us. I'm going to go ahead and steal presenter back from you, and then I will go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to dive into first the catalog, which is, of course, one of our favorite features about Totara 12. All right, so that looks good on my end. Can someone just give me a little verbal confirmation that my screen looks okay for you too? Audience view, everything I can see looks like it is. All right, perfect.
Looks good.
Okay, so I'll start us out talking about the catalog in Totara 12. The benefit of the catalog is it's a space that brings courses, programs, and certifications together in one place where users can search for learning. It is highly customizable, and the more I learned about the catalog, the more excited I was, because this is definitely a feature that I know clients will love because of that personalization and customization. I want to mention that the course catalog functionality, it starts within your site admin menu, where you're basically deciding what type of catalog you want to display. And basically what I mean by that is how it looks to users. Okay, so here's that site admin option under advanced features, and your choices are grid, category, or report. And I'm highlighting these because grid will be the default type for Totara 12 installations. It looks just like a grid. It was that screenshot in my last slide here of the PowerPoint. It looks just like a grid with tiles that represent each course or program or certification. And I want to juxtapose that against the other two options. So the category display, That resembles the Manage Courses and Category page that we have in Totara, where you're used to seeing categories and their subcategories nested underneath. And then the Report option gives you a display exactly like Totara's embedded reports look. And the reason I'm juxtaposing these against Grid is because Report and Category Display, they were previous catalog options in earlier versions, but now we have the Grid format for Totara 12. And once you decide upon the display type that you prefer, that's when you then build out the remaining aspects of the catalog. So it first starts there at the site level. All right, so as you might have noticed in my previous screenshots, the course catalog is accessed by your learners through the Find Learning link in the top menu bar. When you're using the grid display, which is what I have set here, the catalog options can be shown in two ways, and I have them highlighted in that red box. One is tile view, which is what I'm displaying, and the other is a list view. You can lock this at the site level, or you can leave it open to let users decide for themselves which display they'll use. And again, I've decided on the tile display, so in that regard, my catalog has a tile that represents each course or program or certification that's available. And I do want to note that when you configure your catalog, you're deciding if all three of these options are included. So if programs and courses and certifications are included. You don't have to display all of them. You can certainly pick and choose. You could have just courses or just programs, or you can make a combination of any of the three that works for you. You can also display, or you can also decide how your tiles display. So some of the options that you have available to you are whether you're displaying the short or the full name of the item on the tile. You can choose to display an icon on the tile. You can offer extra description items. So there's quite a lot you can do to personalize the display and showcase various aspects and details of each of these learning items for your users. So this is really, I think, where the customizable nature of the catalog really comes into play. If you don't set a personal image for an item, then you're basically given a default. So far right, regulation and ethics, I did not set a custom course image for that. And so Totara is giving me just a random color and pattern assortment to display on that tile. Whereby with customer service skills and CPR, I've added a custom image, and so those tiles look differently. So that's another thing you can decide which route you'd like to go with the catalog. You can also do something like I've done, whereby you can showcase what types of activities are found within each of the courses, and so users can get an idea of what kind of content they'll be interacting with. And there's so much more here. Again, I mentioned the icons that you can use to display, the naming conventions, and much more. The other thing with the tiles here that I want to call out is you can note that a course or a program is featured. Essentially, what that does is it highlights that course or program for your users. And for customer service and CPR, you can see that both of those are considered featured courses. And if you wanted to see more information about any of these items, just simply click on the tile, and then that box bottom of my screen will pop up for you, where you'll see additional details on that particular item. And again, those details and what kind of information you're providing is all controlled by you behind the scenes as you configure the catalog and make these sorts of choices. The catalog can also then be sorted in a number of ways by your end users. You can sort alphabetically. You can sort by the most recently added items, which is what's called latest in the menu. And you can also search with featured learning items listed first. And so that's what connects back to featuring a particular item. It links to the sort, and it can help users really drill into finding learning that's appropriate. If your user enters a search term into the search box, then another sort item that will appear is a term called relevance, and so they would be searching by relevance to their search term, and then courses and programs would appear accordingly. If users enter a term in the search box, I just wanted to note that the search does apply to all courses, programs, and certifications. So whatever you have available in the catalog, that search term will pick up on it, whether it's a course or a program. So they're going to get a result that encompasses all of those options. The caveat there is that only the learning items that are actually available to that user based on their role will be displayed. So they won't be getting access to items that they truly wouldn't be able to drill into and access. All right, last but not least, if users find learning that interests them, one thing that they can do with the catalog is to share that item with others, and they do that by using the share button. Once they've clicked the share button, a link is generated, and that's what they can send to others. You can see in the screenshot that there is a note that says that due to that, whoever you share this link with, if their role is such that they wouldn't have permission to see the item, then that's going to be a caveat with your ability to share it with them. So again, that limitation based on roles, visibility, permissions, etc., does also apply to the ability to share content. So that's a nice piece of the catalog too. And I think in summary, what I want to say about the catalog not only is just how exciting I know this is for a few of our clients that we've already had conversations with about it, but is just to stress the customization that's possible. I also wanted to just mention, and I say this because it was helpful for me as I was digging into the catalog myself, is it really is a two-part thing. You as a client admin, you're going to be configuring the catalog behind the scenes and making decisions that impact how it displays to your users. So it really is sort of a two-part little dance there. If any of you are exploring Totara or practicing with the catalog on your own sites, what I did that was really valuable as I was learning would be to make a decision in my configuration and then go take a look at how the catalog appears to really see the impact of what I was doing as I was manipulating settings and taking advantage of settings. One thing I didn't spend time talking about is the ability to pull content into the catalog from the content marketplace, but that's also possible. So I truly feel like the opportunities here are endless. And I'm happy to say that Shannon will talk a little bit about some of those options here in a minute. So we'll definitely get into that. I just didn't go into it here with the catalog, but it is possible. And I think I'll just wrap up by saying that I can visualize various configuration options here with each of our clients so that each of them ends up with a very unique catalog that fits their specific needs. And I find that really exciting. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Jeff, and I think I'll go ahead and make you presenter. So when you're ready,
I'm ready.
Feel free. Take it away.
Okay, let's see. Okay, you should be able to see my screen right now.
Review and definitions.
Yep. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was caught up on some Totara, some basic Totara things, and not everything, of course, on this screen is new to Totara 12, but there's just some things that I'm going to touch upon. So we'll quickly go over some definitions just to make sure everybody's on the same page here. An audience, which is what one thing we're going to be talking about today, is a group of users with common attributes who can be assigned to training automatically, and that kind of leads into audience-based visibility, and which also harkens back to the catalog that Vanessa was talking about. And this is the ability to limit. This is the ability to limit the ability to view training based on membership in an audience. And so you can give people an audience-based visibility that will either limit or grant them the ability to see certain things, either programs, courses, certifications within the audience itself. And so you don't have to have the whole everything on your site available in the audience to everybody. Then a certification is a learning pathway which is valid for a specific period of time. It also comes with the ability to set an automatic recertification. We'll be talking about that in relationship to audiences as well. Then we're going to touch on the report builder a little bit, a couple new features in the report builder. And a report builder in Totara provides the admins the ability to customize reports that users can see based on user attributes. And then we'll also touch a little bit about a couple improvements in HR import, which is a process to regularly and automatically update data in the system, which relates to people, organizations, managers, and some various things. So let's dive into some of these things, and we'll talk about some of that and and their implications. So, okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is some audience improvements. And Totara 12 has added the ability to populate audiences based on a user's status within some certifications that they may be that they may have taken. And so there's two different ways that you can base audience membership on a certification. One is certification status, which we'll talk about first, and then also certification completion date. And so a certification status, as you can see, you can set a certification status based on whether they're currently certified, whether their certification is currently expired, or whether they've never been certified. And then their assignment status is either they're assigned to the certification or they're not assigned to that certification. And then also with certification completion dates, you can set an audience membership based on when a person completed a certification. So you can say, okay, they've completed it before a date or after a date or within the previous number of days. And so if they meet those criteria, even in combination with other criteria, they would be a member of this audience. And so what are some of why would you want to use some of these things? One thing is you might want to conduct some follow-up training. If somebody got certified on forklifts, for example, you might want to conduct some follow-up training for them, and so you would want to add them into a program or a course, and you can easily get them into an audience once they, based on certain criteria for their certification. Or you may want to enroll them in some more advanced certifications. So it's forklift certification 1, and then maybe there's a forklift certification 2 that you can then enroll them in once they've completed that certification. You can make optional training available using audience-based visibility, one of the things that we talked about. So in that course catalog that Vanessa was talking about, you can have training available to people who have completed the certification based on another audience that they're in. So you set the audience-based certification to allow them to see that, and then they will be able to see that in the course catalog and in various other places in the system as well. Maybe you have someone doing a job and you said, whoops, we forgot to, we want to check to make sure that everybody who's doing this job is actually certified to do that job. So you can enroll them into an audience and then enroll them in the proper certification to do that. If you've seen that they've never been certified in it. And then there are often times when either government regulations or changes in organization policy will require that people get recertified if requirements have changed. So remember, one of the certification things that we could do is say, okay, if you've been certified before this date, I want to place into this audience. And so if regulations have changed during a date, then you can have them get recertified into a new certification based on that. And then the other the other way that you can get people into an audience is through authentication type. And so you can see that one of the menu options under the user profile category is authentication type, and you can set that to either equal or not equal to whatever authentication types you have based on the system. So why might you want to do this? Well, a lot of people, in my experience in my year of working with Totara, have used Totara both for maybe employee training and also for customers, training for their customers. And so those two groups of users may authenticate into the system in different ways. So you may have an SSO set up for your employees, but maybe have the customers going through self-enrollment. And so you can use this to categorize them into different audiences and to recommend different training for the two groups, and also running reports based on just employees or with just outside clients. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next section, where we talk about restrict report content by the audience. So Totara right now has the ability to restrict the content of reports built in the report filter based on some user attributes, and right now they're available as management hierarchy. So managers can see their team members in reports. These reports can be based on just content for people in certain positions or certain organizations. Well, that ability has now been expanded to audiences, which opens up a wider range of operations. So basically, what you can see here is the same report that I ran based on two different audiences, and this is based on membership of different types of comic books. And we have DC Comics and we have Marvel Comics. We see this report graph is run just on the audience membership of the DC Comics. And then this is Marvel Comics. So you can see that the reports are different, and that is based on an audience restriction in the Totara report builder for this particular report. So this allows for much more flexibility in the report content restriction. It can be, basically you can restrict the content of a report for any reason that an audience was created. I know sometimes it's been kind of challenging to do that sometimes when you're trying to, especially when you're trying to get combinations of different attributes to complete reports. And this is, and so even if this was possible to restrict in the same way before, it can, it might actually be simpler for the Totara clients and the Totara customers to restrict these reports this way, especially if there's a combination of attributes that you're using that you want to use to restrict a report. And so now, kind of segue from audience-based things and report building, let's talk about a couple of improvements in the HR import process. Now remember, HR import is a way to get users and job assignments and things like that. It's a very useful tool in Totara. And you can either set it as a CSV file or a direct connection to your HR database. And if it's a CSV file, you can upload them automatically or manually into Totara, or have it check a directory that you may have HR import files go to. We've done all those things. And one of the things that you can now upload in addition to the users and the job assignments and the positions in the organizations are now competencies. And so, as you know, Totara has the ability to introduce competency frameworks through the hierarchies. And before the only way to get those competency frameworks in there was to kind of manually put them in. But if you have a kind of complicated competency framework, you can now upload that through the HR import process in Totara. And then it's it's a little bit easier to link those things with users in order to make sure they get the right training based on competencies. And also, they've changed general settings into default settings, which means you can change those for each element, which gives you a little bit more flexibility. So if you're uploading your files, or if you have CSV files that you're using to import these attributes for people, you can now, for each individual element, figure out whether you want the file access via directory check or upload files. And also change the files directory if that's a desire for you. If you want the job assignment and the user files to be in a different directory, you can set that for each of those elements. And then notifications, you can have notifications go to different people and set them either to errors or in a warning. So maybe in your user file, you only want errors to show up and not warnings, but in your job assignment file, you want both of those to show up in the notification to an administrator. You can set those to you can set those individually now on each element. And you can also send email notifications to different people. So you may want notifications to go out to different people depending on which element that you're uploading. And then also you can schedule your HR importing differently for each type of element as well. So for users, maybe you want to upload them every day or even every hour in order to get users into the system quickly. But perhaps the position hierarchy doesn't change it often, so you can upload that every month or so. So that's some of the improvements that have been made into Totara 12, kind of from a back-end perspective. And now I'm going to send it over to Shannon, if Shannon is ready.
Yes.
Great job, Jeff. I love how
Thank you.
said with HR import we've done all of those things, because yes, we have.
All right, let me know if you can see my screen.
Looks great. Yep.
We sure can.
Awesome. So I'm going to share some of the wonderful new improvements with Totara 12 on the user experience. So just to kind of talk a little bit about that, you guys know that there's more flexibility in how you manage your site now. The blocks has been one of the newest improvements. So you have blocks have mainly been used on the left or in the right panel. Now you can add blocks to the top or even the bottom. So that gives you a more graphical interface. It kind of gives you more engagement with the learner when you're displaying, those courses. You can use that to display featured programs. It can be programs, courses, or certifications. One of the nice things is that you're able to configure the blocks. You can remove the header. You can show the header, remove the header. You have the options here to configure the block. So there are some of those options where you're able to rename it now. So it gives you some more flexibility when you're working with the blocks. It's really powerful with the features links block, which is kind of what I was showing here. It gives you a more, in a sense, as Vanessa was talking, how you can customize things. So it gives you a way to kind of customize it. So you have an image that you can have here, as she mentioned, with the tiles and just the catalog. It's very similar in that if there's no image, it's going to give you a default image. But if it has an image, then you'll see that image display. So this is, again, with the feature link blocks, you can do courses, programs, certifications. Here at the top, I've added this at the top as the top option to kind of show you a list of featured programs that may be available. Here in the center where content, I kind of had just the featured courses. One of the nice things about the featured links blocks is you also, additionally, there's been some added improvement in how you can display. So you can add, you can change how you configure it. You can use a tile. The tiles can be a gallery tile. So this is kind of showing you how it can randomly scroll through. So if there's a course in communication and there's different levels of the course, there may be a way you may want to kind of display that here in as a tile format so that they can go directly to it, or they can see, that there's more than one associated course with this particular. So there's one way to do things that way. You can transition the tiles very differently too, so you can control the order. You can have it to set to autoplay. So there's different things you can do also when we're talking about configuring, the featured links block and how you can give that more customized graphical interface. One of the other things that has been added and as an improvement, so kind of those other odd end things that I guess you would say is there's been some improvements on where things are displayed. So now there's to increase, as you saw, I had quite a bit of content kind of displaying. I was hiding it there, but you can see the footer is a little smaller now. So the increased real estate that's smaller. The actual logo here is a little smaller. It's in the navigation. You can also see where there's been some changes in where the messages and alerts and then the language selector has kind of been added here. And then your site administration, one of the biggest changes, the user interface change is where the site administration is. So it's been moved here. So you can kind of customize this too, which is pretty neat, in how you can customize the menu settings and what you want to see. You can do that. So that's kind of when Vanessa and Jeff's been talking about some of the back end things. That is one of those things you can do with this setting. One of the other things that's been added that's pretty nice, the content marketplace is a new addition to Totara Learn in general. So the content marketplace, it allows you to access a range of free or paid learning content from a trusted content partner. For example, the one I'm going to show you today is Go One. So content can be used in any existing catalog or supplement in the existing courses, the catalog that Vanessa just kind of talked about. You would want to go in and set your settings. This is actually where you would just go in and set up the content marketplace. You would have a subscription with Go One. You would go in there, set up those settings in there. Once you've enabled it and you've got your setup, at that point you have an option to explore the content marketplace. There's a lot of flexibility and the filters and how you can search for content in the content marketplace. As this example with Go One, you can see here I have many filters available to me. I have an all, I can see the things of subscription. Custom collection, that's kind of where you can add your own, create your own kind of collection, if you will. Then we have tags. There's providers, so you can see where some of that content providers are coming from. And then the language is English that I'm looking at. So for example, just to do a search, so we do have an option to search. I say I do customer service, as you can see. So I'm going to look up all content that has customer service centric. And let's say, for example, I want to do some quick learning with this. So I want users to be able to go in and take the content. I can read here what the content is. You can see if it's self-paced, it gives you some details about the course, and then you have an option to create the course. So you definitely can you can customize this to show what you want the content to show also there. So that is one way of doing that there. You can add, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to go there. I'm gonna go back. So I can add content to my collection, as I talked about. I do apologize there. So let's say I want to go in and add, I'm going to go in and drill in a little more and see if I can find everything that's related to 1 minute learning. If I can spell 1 minute. 1 minute learning. So let's say I want to create a collection of courses of content where it's all related to some quick learning objectives. So I can add that. At that point, when you see you have an option to select that, I can add all this to a collection. And then that gives you an option to, you have your own custom collection here. And I can search that. So basically you have an option to see what's there for that, but I can always go back and see everything that's available, but I'll always have that custom collection available for me. So there's lots of those options when you have the content marketplace as an added benefit. You also can integrate that content very easily in a course. You saw there, I can actually create the course directly from the content when I'm in the content marketplace. But you also have options of, if you're actually, you can create a course. When you create a course, I can create a new course. And when I select create a new course, I'll be given the option to add course from content marketplace, or I can create a multiple course. So now it kind of gives you an option where you can grab content from the content marketplace. It loads up that same content, and this is kind of where you can see if I've added custom content to my collection. I can just quickly go here, grab those, and create a course. So there's many options to create that now. So I think I'm very excited about that option, being able to kind of integrate and work with that, and then also that being an added addition to if you're working with the catalog itself, also you managing that. So that's pretty much what I was going to go over.
I love it, Shannon.
Any questions? I didn't see if there's any questions.
Yeah, we can take a look. I didn't see any come in while you were talking, but I'm sure some will come in as we go. Great job. I'm super excited because I feel like naturally we've looped back to the catalog and just the robust nature, ability to customize, and I'm also secretly jealous that I didn't get to present about the content marketplace because I share your excitement about it, and I think you did a great job. So I can imagine in the next couple of weeks, months, we're going to have a lot of clients asking about this, and so I think that we as a team will be well able to support them as they continue building themselves. So thanks, Shannon.
Awesome.
I'll steal it away from you, I think, just to wrap up. One thing that we did have a question come in about that I wanted to speak to was just the idea of, and let me, oh, you know what, Shannon, can you go ahead and make me presenter? It looks like I can't steal it away from you for some reason, and I can't show my screen. Can you find me? There you go. Fantastic. So one thing I wanted to mention is that a question came in while Jeff was talking about eThink and our ability to position ourselves to support clients as they build their own catalog. And this did come up in a recent training, and it's actually exactly what we'll be doing. So we have a client on Totara 12 that's interested in building out a catalog, didn't know enough about it themselves initially to do that single-handedly, and asked if we would work in tandem with them to do so. And of course the answer is yes. And part of that has come up in recent professional development sessions that I've held personally. So that's why these webinars are so amazing. And that's why we love to share the new features, because we know our clients are excited and we want to get everyone else excited about it so that they embrace the new features that Totara has worked so hard to include in the latest version. I've had up on my screen here while I mentioned that our upcoming webinar, utilizing a next-gen learning ecosystem in the workplace. Another really hot topic these days. That webinar is going to be on February 20th at 12 p.m. Eastern if you'd like to join us. Small text at the bottom there is how you can sign up. You can always go to our website too, ethinkeducation.com, to check out what we have going on. Any other questions that Jeff, Shannon, you wanted to highlight before we wrap up for the afternoon?
I think one one thing that someone was asking about was how is audience-based visibility enabled, which kind of ties right into kind of the whole presentation that we had, because some of this audience visibility you can let admins control what users will actually see in the catalog, which is probably important so you don't overwhelm them, and also so you don't give people access to training that they are not authorized to take. And so audience visibility is actually a setting that you have to enable it at the site level to be able to set that in each individual course, program, or certification. And so you'd have to ask your admins to make that available. What that does is it kind of takes the place of the show hide feature in the course settings pages. And so if you go to the course setting pages, you see audience-based visibility instead of the show hide. So and the way that the audience visibility works is you can set it visible to no users, you can set it visible to just enrolled users, so only people that are enrolled in it, or to enrolled users and certain select audiences that you can pick right there in that interface. And so that I think, you know, the combination between the course catalog and the content marketplace and being able to set these audience and be able to set that learning available to certain audiences, it makes this a really powerful feature. And you know, with the additions of the ways that you can set audiences and use some more attributes for setting those audiences, even makes this better. So just wanted to kind of tie those two things together and kind of indicate how you go about setting that up.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. I think that speaks to how things have really come full circle too in what we've been talking about today. So that was a perfect question and answer to bring up, and I appreciate that. The last thing I'll show you before we go for today is contact information for Josh Mitchell, who has some pretty big shoes for me to have filled today. He wasn't able to join us, and normally he would run the show, and my voice would just be a small little snippet in the presentation, but he was unavailable, and so I took on the challenge of speaking as Josh. So should you have questions, should you want a demo of our award-winning Totara solution that we provide here at eThink, please feel free to reach out to Josh, josh.mitchell@ethinkeducation.com. We'd love to hear from you. And if there's any questions that we didn't answer, we'll make sure that we loop back to you as well, should we need to do so after the session. So I'll just end, I think, by saying thanks for attending, and we wish you a great rest of your day. Daniel, thank you so much for being our guest of honor.
Thank you.
You rock, and happy to have you. So bye, everybody. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hi.